All right, we are recording. Hello again, everybody. It's Dr. Tim Newton with Inspire Movement PT, here again for our interview series with local voices in health and wellness. I have a very spectacular guest here with me today that I'm very excited to share with you. Her name is Cheryl Shafer. She is a myofunctional therapist, and her practice name here in Ellicott City is Facial Function, and she specializes in, well, the function of the face. She helps individuals and families in a number of different disorders, things that you probably wouldn't even know that could be helped, including finger and thumb sucking habits, tongue thrust habits, mouth breathing, improper tongue rest posture. We'll talk a little bit about what that is. And all of these things, including tongue ties. She has a specialty in that area, breathing therapy, and all of these are done in a cozy, fun, safe environment. She sees people of all ages, but has a particular interest in children. She's also a national presenter and keynote speaker. She's given a lot of different talks on these topics, and my goodness, I am just floored to have her on here with me today.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you so much for coming. We really appreciate you having you on.
Thank you. I appreciate being here. I love spreading the information that I have learned along in this journey to anybody that wants to hear it. So,
well, we do. Mm-hmm. That's why we're here. So please just tell us your story a little bit. Professionally and how you got into this profession, how you got here.
Yeah, I'd be glad to share. Thank you. So my journey started as an oral health professional. I became a dental hygienist way back when I was in my 20s and just loved serving patients in the oral health field in dentistry, but always felt like there was so much more I could do besides clean their teeth. I could see so many signs and symptoms of overall health by looking at the gateway of health, which is mouth, where we breathe, we eat, and we swallow from our mouth, which is just critical for the cascade of events that can go right or wrong. And I dived deeper into oral function, reflecting back after I did my training at the International Association of Oral Facial Myology to become a myofunctional therapist. I reflected back and realized I failed my own child. I failed my own child because I didn't recognize that he was suffering from myofunctional disorders, which had a cascade of effects on his health and wellness and also his mental health because of all the impacts. He had chronic ear infections. He was snoring even as a baby, grinding his teeth, mouth breathing, had what I recognize now as some sleep disturbed breathing issues, and couldn't move his tongue properly. He was tongue-tied. We did not diagnose it until he was between 8th and 9th grade. His name was Rick. He couldn't get his tongue off the floor of his mouth, and he couldn't use the R sound in his speech. So he was in speech for 6 years, but he never was able to say his name, Rick, until he entered high school. So that is my motivation that drives me to help any other child that I can to solve the why and the symptoms of facial disorders, to get solutions and solve the problems so that they can have health and wellness. It was a game changer for my family, and so it drives and motivates me to educate others on the importance of tongue posture and healthy breathing and function and sleep. So that's kind of my journey. Started as a myofunctional therapist, as a dental hygienist, myofunctional therapist, and now I just want to spread the word that our healthcare system doesn't pay enough attention to the tongue, and it is a missing link of our body that is critical in, it's basically the CEO of your body. It helps dictate health in so many ways.
So yeah, and can you get into this a little bit, like how that happens? What is my tongue supposed to do that in so many people it's not doing, and how does that start?
Great question.
Health issues.
Yeah, so when I took my initial training as a myofunctional therapist at my course, they talked about, where does your tongue live in your mouth? Where is it supposed to be? And I thought, shoot, I don't know where I rest my tongue. I never thought about the impact of where
Right.
my tongue is. And everybody listening right now, think about, where does your tongue rest? Does it rest on the roof of your mouth, in the middle, or on the floor? And why does it even matter? So why it matters is your tongue, when you're young, helps to put gentle pressure on the roof of your mouth and develop the shape of the roof of your mouth. And it helps to make your roof of your mouth wide enough to accommodate your teeth, and wide enough to accommodate your tongue later when you're sleeping, so it doesn't fall back into the airway.
What
So
do you mean accommodate the teeth?
so the tongue, okay. So your tongue helps to develop the palate, and your lips help to tell the teeth where to go. So if you have a nice wide roof of your mouth, you have room for all of your teeth. If your tongue is on the floor of your mouth and you have a narrow, squishy palate, because it didn't develop its shape it needs to, then you're going to have crooked, crowded teeth. So one of the biggest referral sources I have is the orthodontist. So if your tongue is pushing against your teeth or resting between your teeth, it directs the teeth with the slow, gentle muscle pressure where your teeth can potentially come in, can be open bite or flared out because of the tongue pressure. Think of braces. So braces are a slow, gentle pressure around your teeth that direct your teeth where to go. Your tongue and your lips are a slow, gentle pressure that help direct the shape of the roof of your mouth and where the teeth go.
So what you're saying is, if the roof of the mouth is not like this, but in fact spread out, that leaves space for the teeth. And then
So if you have a nice wide roof of your mouth. And the other thing to think about is, as a hygienist, I always looked at the roof of the mouth, but as an ear, nose, and throat doctor, because I now work collaboratively with many different specialists, they look at the sinuses. Well, that's the same bone. The roof of your mouth is the floor of your airway. It's the same bone. So we have to understand the connection between the airway and how our teeth are coming in, how we're sleeping, how we're breathing, and just proper function.
interesting. So we talked about the teeth, and now you mentioned the airway. So how is it that the tongue and tongue position, what the heck does that have to do with my airway? And what goes wrong with someone's?
Well, you have to always, so if we're talking tongue position, you have to figure out why. Why is the tongue on the floor of the mouth and not resting up on the palate where it's supposed to be? Why? So there's three main reasons. It can be mouth breathing. So if you're breathing through your mouth, your tongue's going to be on the floor of the mouth. If you're tongue tied, the tongue will be on the floor of the mouth. Or if you have a long-term habit, like we talked about, the thumb sucking habit, long-term pacifier, sippy cups, those are not designed for proper swallow. Anything that blocks the tongue from going to the roof of the mouth is going to transfer into a tongue thrust swallow, possibly, because the tongue is blocked. It can't go to the roof of the mouth and swallow back properly, which also helps with craniofacial development. So we want to catch these early because we want good, wide craniofacial development. So if someone's breathing through their mouth, it also has other impacts. It can lead to more hyperventilation breathing versus slow diaphragmatic breathing, which can lead to whole nervous system issues. It's just a cascade of events. But you always want someone to be breathing through their nose with their lips together on the roof of their mouth. So I say tongue up, lips closed, breathe through your nose to the children, just to keep it real simple so that they know the way to have proper rest posture, because it impacts their teeth development, but also can contribute to snoring. So if the tongue is resting forward, it pushes against the teeth. If the tongue is resting too far back, when you're sleeping, it can block the airway and promote snoring. Snoring is not okay in any age. So you always want to, children or adults, snoring is a foghorn that you need to bring attention to, because it can cause developmental concerns and cognitive concerns. Snowballs.
Right. So we don't want it too far forward. We don't want it too far backward. We just want it up.
Right up in the roof of the mouth. Just nestled up there between the teeth is where the tongue belongs. And when you swallow, the tongue should gently swallow up against the roof of the mouth. Again, not pushing forward against the teeth. I have some cases that orthodontist has had to put braces on their teeth numerous times because they'll take the braces off and then the tongue pressure will open the bite back up.
Right, right. And if you had just taken care of that in the first place,
right.
it's a lot of work.
So now that we've had so many success cases of literally watching the teeth come together where they want to be just by changing the tongue and lip posture, that I have orthodontists that refer the kids to me before they put the braces on. So at age 5, 6, 7 years old, they tell them, I'm not putting braces on the kids if they have a tongue that's pushing against the teeth that will cause a failure of the case. So you won't have retention of the case if you have a tongue rest or tongue thrust issue. So I solve it usually starts with the nasal breathing to get the tongue to be able to go up, the rest posture, then the teeth they'll settle into place where they want to be. I've seen 5 millimeters of movement of the teeth just before we start the orthodontics. And then the orthodontist gets things in line, and then we'll have a better retention. So I am a collaborative team with the orthodontist to get the retention and the stabilization of the beautiful smile.
Well, and I can attest to that too. I mean, with the TMJ issue, headaches and all that stuff, that whole craniosacral system.
Oh, it's huge. It's
it
huge.
Doesn't have the support from beneath from the tongue, you know.
So the tongue is the tongue is a postural muscle. So it helps to support the posture. So if your jaw is dropped and your tongue is low, you can try it. It throws your head forward. If your tongue is up on the roof of your mouth, it helps to support the head, and so that it helps to support the posture. So then, as you know, a physical therapist, it's just the whole, I have patients that have TMJ pain, forward head posture, neck and back pain. And so we just get everything in line and balance, getting the muscles of the face supported and strong. It's just
fascinating.
It is. I'm fascinated. After being a hygienist for 30 years, now realizing how much value the function of the face has on your overall impact of your smile, of your posture, of your appearance. So if you're breathing through your nose with your mouth together and your nice lip tone versus if your jaw is dropped and your tongue is forward, it gives you a whole different presence.
I'm getting self-conscious about it.
I know, but I have the kids walk in and out of the room. Like, when you walk in a room and you have great posture and your lips are together, nasal breathing, you have an aura of confidence. And we want you to walk in the room with confidence and an appeal of I am in control of, and feel good and bright eyes and sleeping well. So it's just wonderful.
So can you give us an example or two of just some cases that you've seen, like interesting connections between?
So I have a couple. Thank you. I have a couple of interesting cases. One, she was referred to me by the orthodontist, and she had what orthodontists do a lot of times if the tongue is pushing forward is they put a tongue guard in. So they put a physical appliance in their mouth that blocks the tongue from hitting the teeth so that they can try to get the open bite closed. So her tongue was still coming out and around underneath the bar that was to block it. And so the orthodontist couldn't close her open bite, referred her to me. And the first thing I look at is airway and breathing. Why? Why is her tongue coming around that bar? Well, when I saw her head was forward, she had dark shadows under her eyes, her mouth was open like this. Wow. And I just thought, she's not well. There's something, we have to bring the medical team in. And first thing I look for is tonsils. Her tonsils were not enlarged and blocking her throat. I look in her nose, not blocking her airway. So then I think allergies. So I said to the parents, she must have an airway issue that's causing that tongue to try to get out of the airway so that she can breathe. We have to breathe. Breathing is always first. That keeps us alive. So our tongue will get out of the way however it can to open up that airway. So sent her to the doctor. She had extreme allergies. We got the allergies under control. We got the appliance taken off. And then we got her breathing through her nose, because just because you get it eliminated doesn't mean you transfer to nasal breathing, because it's a retraining. That's where I come in. I retrain the muscles for the support of the tongue rest and lips, and also retrain the breathing. Teach them the skills of how do you transfer from mouth to nasal, because your nitric oxide, oxygen, carbon dioxide levels as a cellular level are off if you're breathing through your mouth versus your nose. Your nose has so many benefits. So we got her breathing through her nose, and the bite started to close, and then we got her in the orthodontics without the tongue pushing open. I had another case, she was referred to me by the orthodontist again, that could not get the bite to get into alignment because of the tongue, and she had super large tonsils. And when we got her breathing through her nose, lots of things happened. And one was that because the air wasn't coming straight to her tonsils and all the dusts and stuff in the air wasn't going straight to the lymphatic system of the tonsils, her tonsils were able to shrink on their own. So we were able to avoid
Wow.
surgery. So with her situation,
Wow.
we got her breathing through her nose, retrained her to keep her lips together. It takes a process. And then her tonsils recovered from the inflammation of the air and all the pollutants, and she didn't have to have her tonsils out. So to do simple things to avoid surgical procedures or appliances that to block the tongue, instead retrain the tongue where it belongs rather than block the tongue, try to get the tonsils, if we can, to shrink on their own before we decide if they need to have surgery or not. So try to do simple preventative functional solutions. Keep it simple solutions before we decide on doing drastic interventions.
Wow.
I'm honored to do this for people. I just love it.
Yeah, there's so much to it too. That's crazy.
Yeah, we haven't even touched on the adult sleep apnea, so that's a whole nother episode of how to, myofunctional therapy has been proven if you exercise the oral pharyngeal muscles to reduce the AHI score, how many times you stop breathing for 10 seconds, because you tone the muscles of the throat. So it helps to support the airway.
Wow.
So, thank you.
Fascinating stuff. We could go on, but we should really wrap it up here with my favorite question that I like to ask our guests. It is this. What words of wisdom would you give to someone else in your profession who is looking to make an impactful and have a successful career?
So my background is dentistry, but this appeals to anybody medical and dental. The first thing is work as a collaborative team, do integrative medicine, really get on your team, ear, nose, and throats, orthodontists, oral surgeons, physical therapists, craniosacral therapists. I could go on and on. Sorry if I forgot anybody, but work as a team. We can't do this alone. And then look at the function. So in dentistry, we really look at the structure and we just solve the symptoms. We don't look at the function of the face and the impact of breathing and tongue posture has on overall health. And when you do that, it changes your career because you see lives change. And with sleep apnea, with children and adults, you can save lives. And so the value in dentistry, to me, is we are the gatekeepers of the mouth, and the mouth is where it all begins and starts for the rest of our health.
Well, Cheryl Shafer, thank you
so
much for coming on. How can people find you and contact you?
So my email, please feel free to email me any questions, is Cheryl Shafer at facialfunction.com. So, and then my website is facialfunction.com. And please feel free to contact me.
Yeah, please, people, reach out to her. You've got a local expert here. Really, thank you. It was great talking to you, Cheryl. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it brings me immense pleasure every time I bring somebody to restorative health.
Thank you. All right, guys. Please post up your questions when this interview goes up. This one is not live. This is a Zoom recording, of course, during quarantine time. But please throw up your questions if you have any, if you don't want to reach out to Cheryl directly. And that's it for this week. Have an inspired day, everybody.